I'm Mike, this is Budget Gun.
Hey everybody, it's Friday night, but it is not 11:30, it's 7 p.m. Eastern, as a matter of fact. But this is the right of the people, where we use the first to defend the second. I'm going to be going to the Creator Summit tomorrow, and decided that, since I'd like to get some sleep, I'll do my show early. So, awesome. We're going to try and have this done by 8 o'clock, so that we're not going to quark Clover on his Firearms Friday. And, yeah, so let's get into it. Hello, everybody. I would like to say hello to my esteemed panel. The one, the only, the Kingpin himself, David Bowling. How are you, sir?
I'm doing really good, Mike. Thanks for having me.
All right. Always welcome, brother. Always welcome. And here we have the irascible yet lovable Squiblode. How are you, sir?
Just over here being irascible, man. Thanks for the invite.
Hey, no problem whatsoever. I'd like to say hello to everybody out there on the YouTubes. We got Ryan Brown, Kingpin, pulling double duty. Jason Stewart, gun-loving grandpa, the modern anti-federalist. Let's see, Wild Bill. D-Temp. Hello, everybody. Not sure if there's anybody out there watching on the Facebook side, since I'm not actually monitoring that right now. I have limited monitor space and processing power, so if you're over there on the Facebook side, hop on over to YouTube, say hello. Same thing for you folks over there on gun channels, which, by the way, if you are not a member on gun channels, you should be. It's free. It's 24/7, 365, never shuts down. There's always someone to talk with and something to talk about over there. Think of it as the water cooler of the Internet Second Amendment community. Check it out. So, we have a lot to go through today. That they like to play. Yep, it's true. They are coming for your guns. I know I've heard a lot of people saying, no, they're not doing it. No, who said? I've had Democrats who are gun owners tell me that I'm just crazy, that they're not coming for your guns, they're paranoid. Well, guess what? All you have to do is listen, and they're finally telling you exactly what they want. So let's get into it. This is a piece by Susan Ferrecchio from September 11th in the Washington Examiner. A House committee has advanced a series of gun control measures, including a bill that would ban magazines with a capacity of more than 10 rounds and a measure to encourage states to confiscate guns from some individuals. But the party leadership in both the House and Senate remain focused on a less ambitious and more politically safe bill that would expand background checks for gun purchases. The vast majority of the House Democratic caucus, for example, have sponsored a measure that ban outright all semi-automatic assault weapons and large-capacity ammunition devices. Now, come on. I do not wish to get these notifications right now. Thank you very much. You are messing with my flow here. Let's see. The article goes on to say, I really believe that the appetite is significant, said Washington Representative Pramila Jayapal, who is co-chairwoman of the House Progressive Caucus. Jayapal noted that 210 Democrats have co-sponsored the bill, just shy of a House majority. One Republican, New York Representative Peter King, has also signed on. I believe we have strong and robust support for the ban, and we should bring it to the floor and we should pass it, Jayapal said. The bill, sponsored by Democratic Rhode Island Representative David Cicciolini, isn't anywhere on the House calendar, however. We need to make a determination as to where entirety of the Democratic caucus is on the issue, Democratic Caucus Chairman Hakeem Jeffries of New York said Wednesday. Democratic leaders have not indicated when or if they will take up a trio of gun control measures in the House Judiciary Committee advanced Tuesday night. Instead, they are focused on H.R. 8, a bill that would expand background checks to include all gun purchases and would ban gun sales by unlicensed dealers. My view is that we need to get the background check bill passed. Aren't they already banned by unlicensed dealers? I mean, in order to engage in the business of selling firearms, you have to have the license. But, never let that get in the way, right? My view is that we need to get the background check bill passed. California Democrat Mike Thompson, chairman of the House Gun Violence Prevention Task Force, told reporters in the Capitol when asked about the proposals to ban semi-automatic weapons and high-capacity ammunition. What is high-capacity ammunition? The House passed the background check measure in February, and Democrats have touted it as bipartisan because it earned 8 Republican votes. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer have recently held press conferences and taken other steps to publicly pressure the GOP-led Senate and President Trump to approve the legislation. This isn't radical, Pelosi, a California Democrat, said Monday at a press conference. It's just an expansion of what has been successful already. Successful where? Legislation to expand background checks are politically safe ground for Democrats, wary of forcing their vulnerable swing district lawmakers to vote on measures that would anger their constituents. An ABC News/Washington Post poll this week found 89% of adults supporting expanding background checks to cover private gun sales, including gun show transactions. The data suggests legislation to expand background checks won't hurt swing district Democrat moderates. I want to know what their methodology was on the poll, what the questions were, who the respondents were, what the demographics of the people that they asked were. I mean, were they all liberals? Were they all urban folks? I mean, who did they ask these questions to? Polls can be skewed depending upon what you ask and who you ask and when you ask it.
Plus, if it was already successful, then why do you need to make it more strict?
Exactly. If it was successful, we would need more, right? Both measures are supported by at least 8 in 10 Republicans, white evangelical Christians, members of gun-owning households, and other traditionally conservative groups, the Washington Post noted. I would have to question that. I would absolutely have to question that garbage.
You know, I was just at 2 rallies in the past week where there were hundreds of people out there that would not agree with that statement at all. So I question where they're getting their numbers from. I question where they're getting all this information. It's not adding up. Now I know there's silent. There's sort of a I think there's sort of a silent majority in this country when it comes to some things. There are people that either are too lazy to get up there or they're scared. They're scared if they say something, they're going to end up on a list.
Yep.
And it's going to do us in.
That's right. Let's see. Banning semi-automatic weapons and ammunition, however, is a less popular idea. A Fox News poll released in mid-August found 67% of respondents favored banning assault rifles and semi-automatic weapons. Among the group, only 46% identified as Republicans. The same Fox poll found 81% of respondents backed red flag laws known as extreme risk protection orders. I find that pretty freaking hard to believe, which authorize law enforcement officers to seize guns from some individuals. The House Judiciary Committee included red flag legislation among the trio of measures approved on Tuesday. The bill incentivizes states to employ red flag measures, and it authorizes federal courts to issue extreme risk protection orders. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Gerald Nadler called the bill a, quote, sensible means by which an individual who exhibits dangerous behavior can be prevented from possessing or purchasing firearms. And I call that statement a complete crock of shit, because laws don't prevent people bent on ill will from doing anything. Otherwise, they wouldn't kill people. The Judiciary Committee also advanced a measure banning high-capacity magazines, and a third bill banning the sale or transfer of guns to anyone convicted of a hate crime. Well, boy, that's because you can make a hate crime whatever you want. Pelosi on Wednesday praised the New York Democrat for advancing the 3 bills, but she didn't announce a floor vote. We salute the leadership of Chairman Nadler and the Judiciary Committee in advancing additional life-saving legislation to address gun violence crisis, Pelosi said. These critical common-sense bills would save lives, taking steps to limit the lethality of the deadliest firearms, helping states and local law enforcement keep guns out of the hands of people who are a danger to themselves and others, and blocking people convicted of hate crimes from purchasing firearms. But remember, folks, what I'm always telling you, and it holds true in this and all the other cases, gun control is never about the gun. It's always about the control. Looks like we got a few more people out there in YouTube's land. Let's see. We got 7 Wonders out there. D-Temp, Modern Anti-Federalist, Kingpin, blah, blah, blah. Georgia Trucker 69. Let's see. John Brown Productions, Jason Stewart, Ozzy Osbourne. So, hello to everybody who is out there right now. If you're out there and you haven't said nothing, say something so I can say hi. Anyhow, You know, this is just the start of what we're talking about tonight, though. You know, this shows that, this is what they're thinking about, what they're admitting to thinking about anyway at the legislative side, on those that are already in office. But as anybody with an ear who's been paying the slightest bit of attention can tell you, those candidates out there snapping at President Trump's heels, and snapping at each other's heels for that matter right now, are barking an entirely different set of whines here. You know, they are, they're doing their best to out-left each other. They're doing their best to out-gun control each other. Chief among them right now, the squeaky wheel getting the most grease, would be Beta O'Rourke, and yes, I call him Beta because that's what he is. Really, I should call him Beta O'Cuck because that's exactly what he is. But before we get into all that, let me welcome two new members to the panel. We have Adam, the modern anti-federalist. How you doing, sir? Can't hear you if you're saying anything, brother. He must be having some technical difficulties. Which means
that's normal for this show.
I was going to say, which means he fits right in here. Roll call. Welcome to you, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me, Budget. Great show, and I enjoy being on the show.
Awesome, awesome. You're always welcome. Adam, whenever you get your technical difficulties resolved, please feel free to chime in. I would love to hear from you. Let me get everything moved around here where I need it. There we go. All right. Well, Beta O'Cuck says, he's come out with some real doozies in the past week or so. Starting on September 9th, when he said, let's see, what did he say on September 9th? This is a piece by Molly Prince from the Daily Wire. It says, Beto thinks Americans will voluntarily hand over firearms to the government if asked. That the nationwide gun confiscation program that he would implement if elected president would not include law enforcement going to the homes of gun owners and seizing their firearms. Nope, I don't see law enforcement going door to door, O'Rourke told reporters at a campaign stop in New Hampshire. I see Americans complying with the law. I see us working with gun owners, non-gun owners, local, county, state, federal law enforcement to come up with the best possible solution, he continued. I have yet to meet an owner of an AR-15 who thinks it is okay that we have these kind of mass killings in this country. Well, I would agree with you there. I don't suspect there are AR-15 owners who think mass killings are okay. That's kind of one reason we have them, to defend ourselves against people who would do garbage like that.
But he defeated his own argument with that statement. He's met AR-15 owners that don't think that we should have these kind of guns. Well, then why are they still owning them?
Oh, yeah.
But
wait,
none of them,
there's
none
more
of
in
them
his
shot him.
craziness. There's more.
None of those crazy AR-15 owners were bloodthirsty killers and killed him. He survived the encounter.
That's right. After facing growing pressure for O'Rourke to drop out of the race in August, the Democratic presidential hopeful instead relaunched his campaign with a focus on his anti-gun platform. O'Rourke was the first major 2020 Democratic candidate to endorse a federally mandated gun confiscation program for so-called assault weapons. A host of his primary challengers, including Senators Kamala Harris and Cory Booker and New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, have followed suit. I would expect Americans to comply with the law, and we are seeing some good indications that this will be the case. O'Rourke said, in Texas, there was a story of a man coming forward and just giving his AR-15 to the police department, though he legally purchased it and legally owns it, and is responsible about its use and care. He understands that there's no reason to have a weapon that's designed to kill people on the battlefield in his home, and so he gave it to the police department. So, we expect Americans to follow the rules, he added. The former Texas congressman has faced massive criticism for what many consider to be a dangerous proposal. While co-hosting The View, Meghan McCain warned that a federal gun grab could lead to violent clashes as Americans feel that they would fear that they would be losing their right to defend themselves and their families. He swiftly fired back that criticism of his proposal was not helpful because it is self-fulfilling. Are you out of your fucking mind? I know I try to keep this chat family friendly, but this guy's a goddamn loon. O'Rourke has been vague about how a nationwide gun confiscation program would work. The law is not created in a vacuum. It will have the input of members of Congress who are going to reflect their constituents' interests, he continued. And at the end of the day, I think we're going to get a solution that protects your Second Amendment rights while protecting the lives of everyone in this country. I'm confident America can do it. The Democratic presidential hopeful has long advocated for strict gun control measures, such as requiring universal background checks, banning magazines above the standard capacity, opposing concealed carry reciprocity, and banning the sale of assault weapons, or what he refers to as weapons of war. Oh, but wait. There's more, because a couple days later, Beta O'Cuck has kind of contradicted himself here, because, you know, he must not think that people are going to willingly give this stuff up, because, according to this piece in the Washington Times from September 12th by Douglas Ernst, Beto demands banks, credit card companies cut off firearms sales to law-abiding citizens. Presidential hopeful Beta O'Rourke, I'm just going to keep calling him Beta. Beta O'Rourke says a dearth of new gun control laws is no President Trump. Credit cards have enabled many of America's mass shootings in the last decade, and with Washington unwilling to act, they need to cut off the sales of weapons of war today, he began a series of tweets. Banks and credit card companies must 1. Refuse to take part in the sale of assault weapons. 2. Stop processing transactions for gun sales online and at gun shows without background checks. 3. Stop doing business with gun and ammo manufacturers who produce or sell assault weapons. The former Texas congressman's commentary, which included an online petition, did not define assault weapons and appeared to use it in reference to cosmetic features on rifles. Semi-automatic weapons are available to civilians, while fully automatic weapons are reserved for military personnel. If enough of us make our voices heard now, we will force banks and credit card companies to act. Add your name to this petition. We're sending Visa, MasterCard, and the big banks, Mr. O'Rourke continued. The tweets came hours before Thursday's Democratic debate in Houston on ABC and Univision. George Stephanopoulos, Lindsey Davis, blah, blah, blah. They will be done giving here. But wait, there's more. Yeah.
Fair use notice.
Oh, no, I got the wrong damn... I did not mean to do that. I don't want to talk to Rush. Technical difficulties.
You shouldn't get a copyright strike because everybody's been playing his little spiel that he put on during the thing. So if you get a copyright strike, then everybody gets a copyright strike that's using that material, and it's not fair. So play it anyway. I don't give a shit about these people.
I'm playing it.
The rap.
Uh-oh. We're going to get an ad. Here, let me.
Left smeared.
That's right. We'll just talk over. La 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 la.
What are they hiding?
We sound like a bunch of Democrat politicians doing that.
Why won't you?
All right, here we go.
Americans who own AR-15s and AK-47s will have to sell them to the government, all of them. You know, the critics call this confiscation. Are you proposing taking away their guns, and how would this work?
I am, if it's a weapon that was designed to kill people on a battlefield. If the high impact, high velocity round, when it hits your body, shreds everything inside of your body because it was designed to do that so that you would bleed to death on a battlefield and not be able to get up and kill one of our soldiers. When we see that being used against children, and in Odessa, I met the mother of a 15-year-old girl who was shot by an AR-15, and that mother watched her bleed to death over the course of an hour because so many other people were shot by that AR-15 in Odessa and Midland. There weren't enough ambulances to get to them in time. Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
Congressman, thank you.
And I want to say this. I'm listening to the people of this country. The day after I proposed doing that, I went to a gun show in Conway, Arkansas. to meet with those who are selling
I just bet you
AR-15s
did.
and AK-47s and those who are buying those weapons. And you might be surprised, there was some common ground there. Folks who said, I would willingly give that up, cut it to pieces. I don't need this weapon to hunt, to defend myself. It is a weapon of war. So let's do the right thing, but let's bring everyone in America into the conversation. Republicans, Democrats, gun owners, and non-gun owners alike.
I think, Beta, that you're a damn liar. I think you didn't go to no gun show, and if you did go to that gun show, those people didn't say what you say they're saying. I think you're just a liar, a lying son of a bitch, frankly. And I know I'm breaking my own rules, but this guy is such a turd that, well, you know, he'll never be president. I mean, let's be honest. It's not going to be O'Rourke running against Trump. It just isn't. But what he's actually saying now is what the rest of them are thinking. What he's actually saying now is kind of just a slightly more aggressive version of what the rest of them have said, of what Harris has said, of what Warren has said, of what Booker has said. All of them are saying it. Biden has continued to say it. Biden's maybe the most moderate. He wants the assault weapons banned, but he hasn't actually come right out and said, hell yes, we're coming for him. But the fact
Did you see how they tore him to pieces because he said, let's do it, but let's do it by the law, by the book. And
Yeah.
they all turned on him right there.
Yep.
And I'm going to give credit where credit is due. If he wants to take this stuff, if any of them want to take it, then follow the law. Repeal the Second Amendment, whatever it is, but follow the letter of the law and use facts. Quit making up these false statistics, these lies. They don't even understand what they're talking about. Some of the terminology they were using, some of the things they were just talking about, you know, the rate of fire, the kind of bullet that comes out of it, or all this stuff. It's get your facts straight and then come at us with everything. Be my guest. Bring it on. But all these lies, that's what gets me. And people, there's so many people out there that don't understand like we understand. And you're not going to just en masse get a whole bunch of people to understand the science of firearms or the history of firearms or firearm laws or any of that stuff. And unfortunately, they just listen to these guys and go, well, they're our leaders and they're educated and they must know what they're talking about. And it's lie after lie after lie. I want to see them beat us with truth if they beat us at all. But they can't because we have truth on our side.
Exactly. We have truth on our side, and they do not. All they have is fear and lies, period. You know, they want to accuse us of fear-mongering when we say they're coming for your guns. It's not fear-mongering. It's truth. They are coming for your guns. Not just my AK, not just my AR, not just, you know, my X-Tar pistol caliber carbine, you know, that little, well, it's a pistol, but my braced pistol. They're not coming for that stuff, for the PDWs and the scary black guns, the Mini 14s, the SKSs, all these semi-automatic weapons of war. They're coming for your 1911, because guess what? That was a semi-automatic weapon of war. They're coming for your M1 Garand. That was a semi-automatic weapon of war. They're coming for your Winchester Model 12, because while it wasn't a semi-automatic weapon of war, it was a pump-action weapon of war. If you think they're going to leave you with anything that expels a projectile, you are absolutely stark, raving, smearing crap on the walls crazy.
Their legislation even says that. Their legislation even has a list of handguns that they're classifying as semi-automatic assault weapons. So it's not just the AR-15 they're coming after. And one of the things that I wanted to comment on is right now when Beto Robert Francis is talking about getting with credit card companies and getting with corporations and different stuff like that. Right now, that's hey, here's a call to action. You guys should do something, and here's what we think you should do. But when they become president and they can start making legislative decisions and taxes and zoning decisions and setting other regulations or deregulating things, they're going to be able to force these companies to do whatever they want them to do. So it's not just a veiled threat, and it's not just a throw it out there idea. This is what we're going to do when we become president. So you can either voluntarily do it now, or you can wait until we force you to comply.
And speaking of which, eventually, folks, there will be another Democrat president. It will happen. What do you think is going to be the top of their agenda?
Well, now that my sound should work, I'm just going to preface this whole conversation with, I'll be your Huckleberry.
Right.
I mean, it's, I think we're all done here as far as where they're going, man. I couldn't speak up when you started talking about beta. I mean, he's got a T-shirt right now that he's advertising on Twitter, because I follow these people to keep up, that says, that's right, we are coming for your AR-15. I thought about specifically buying that shirt just so I can have it. Not that I want to support him, but just to show people they are coming for our guns. The conversation's over. They've admitted that's what they want now.
Yeah. Finally.
Yeah. And so was Biden, actually.
They admitted
I want to throw this in there real quick. When everybody talks about they're coming for your guns, they're coming for your guns. It's not Beto O'Rourke that's coming for your guns. It's not Nancy Pelosi. It's not Kamala Harris. It's not Cory Booker. It's none of them. It's going to be your local police departments that's going to come and get your guns. So always keep that in the back of your mind. And they're not going to come on your day off, and they're not going to come in the daytime to come get your guns. These people aren't coming face to face with you. Yep. They're coming with law enforcement to get your guns. They're going to make these law enforcement officers comply one way or the other, and it's up to them to make their decision as Americans if they're going to enforce these laws. If any one of these people get into office and try this scam, I call it a scam, it's a scheme. They're schemers. Politicians are schemers. They're snakes. They slither, and when they strike, and if you think it's a joke, they're going to strike hard. They've already played their hand.
They're Cobra
We know what
Kai's.
they're holding.
They're Cobra Kai's,
Yeah.
man. Strike hard, strike fast, no mercy.
They have.
Yeah.
They've been calling for taking our guns for 20 years.
Yeah.
All of us know that, and I'm new into the main focus on firearms, but I've always been into the Constitution and freedom. And I knew well before I got guns, I heard politicians say, we're going to get the guns off the street. We're going to take guns away from people. And the only thing now is they don't have the media to hide that for them, because the internet's out there. And live television is far, far more predominant than it ever was before. So when they say it out loud, and they feel more comfortable because they don't get the pushback. And you heard when Beto said that crowd of people went wild. They loved it. So this isn't new. They're just a little bit more bold about admitting what they want to do. They've always said that they wanted to take the guns.
Absolutely right. But what do we do about it? And that's the thing. Well, number one, we do what I did last week. We go to rallies. We stand up. We give speeches. We do what we do here, what I do every week, and a lot of you people listening, and a lot of you on the panel do every week. You hold chats. You talk with people about it. You talk with people on social media. You talk with people in person. You spread the words. You educate. You do everything you can to be an ambassador for the Second Amendment, to spread the word about your rights and spread the truth. But you also have to let them know that this stuff isn't going to be tolerated. You know, I think there is a time and a place for calm, reasoned, articulate discussion. I'm all about that. But it also has to be known that when you cross that line, the conversation stops. We no longer will play nice. And it's getting to that point where we have to let them know, listen, right now I'm talking with you and I want to continue talking with you. I want to do everything I can to continue talking with you and try to convince you that this is not the way to go. You know, we need to convince other people that this is not the way to go. We need to convert those on the fence to the side of the right here. But we also have to let those on the side of the bad guys, because anyone that wants to disarm you they're on the side of the bad guy. They are the bad guy. We have to let them know that we're not going to stand for it either, and that's it. I will not comply. Period.
The left has used our morality against us forever, because they know that they can do any kind of deviant thing that they want and it's fine, but we won't stoop to those kind of levels. And it shows in our elections, it shows in everything that we do, because we're decent, God-fearing some not, some just decent human beings, plain old red-blooded Americans.
Yep.
And not even people just in America, but across the planet, just regular, good, decent folks, if that's the way you want to put it. The deviant ones know that we're not gonna break our morality for that, and they don't care what they do. They can say and do whatever they want, call people racist, punch people, burn stuff, and all that. But we're not gonna do that because it's wrong, and they know that.
Yeah, actually, when Beto was talking about how he's coming for your guns, the guy firmly believes that Americans are going to follow the law. And you know what? He might be right. Like there might be a lot of people who just shut up and do it. I mean, how many people are actually willing to say, things are going to get bad now. You caused this. I've been there, been to war, and I'll tell you, it's not a fun experience. I've seen friends, blood on their face, their own blood. It's not a fun experience. And if people are going, well, do I give this up or do I go to war and see people die? Maybe my loved ones. He may be right. Maybe our morality and our desire for peace, we give them up.
Not necessarily. You got to look at leaders like Martin Luther King and Gandhi. They were able to effect change through civil disorder that wasn't really violent. Now, I'm not saying people didn't die or get arrested or get hurt or things like that. There was loss. Just like in our revolution, how many people risked everything and they lost their home, they lost their fortune, they were jailed and they had illness for life because of the time in jail, let alone the people that died. But there are ways to look at history and look how social changes were made or political changes were made with limited casualties. And I consider getting arrested and losing all your property, in a way, a casualty. And of course, I'm not asking anybody to be a martyr for the cause. I don't want to be a martyr for the cause, but I also don't want to lose my liberties. The main reason, I don't want my children and my grandchildren that haven't even been born yet to lose their liberties. So there's got to be a way to do it. I mean, right now we're on the right track by trying to legislate and trying to get out there and educate and to try to show people we're not a threat. If you're going to go out there, represent the community well. Don't give them what they've been saying, all the lies they've been telling about people like us. Don't be that person. Don't be that stereotype. It's not as easy as just going into work one day and talking to the guy in the cubicle next to you about the Second Amendment, and next thing you know, he's down at the range and he's loving all this stuff and he gets all of his friends.
Never.
It's not that easy. It's not that easy. And I don't think it's fair to ask somebody to risk losing their career and having to come home and explain to their kids and their wife that they lost their job because they just talked to somebody about politics. On the other hand, maybe sometimes there's a time and a place after work, or if somebody brings it up to you or something like that. But always be ready for that person that's going to be turned off, and always be ready for something to backfire. You see that the guy that comes in every day in the morning, parks next to you, has got a Ruger sticker on the back of his pickup truck. So one day you bring it up and come to find out he's only into guns for hunting, and he doesn't think that you should have an AR-15 or you should be able to defend yourself or blah, 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 and you just stepped in it. So just be ready for failure, because that happens more often than not. And use your best judgment. But on the other hand, sitting at home and hiding and saying, I don't want to be seen at a rally. I don't want my name on a list. I don't want to join an organization and then have all my information tracked. Whatever it is, because there are people that are paranoid, that they want to keep their freedoms, but they don't want to get involved because they're afraid that their identity will be out there and then their name will be on a list when they do come knocking on doors. You can't live like that either. You're not doing yourself or the community any favors that way.
Well, do you see it? Like, I kind of see it at this point as like being a gun owner is like, it's like coming out of the closet, if you will. There used to be a time where if you were homosexual, I mean, you'd come out of the closet and you'd be treated like you're like a homosexual in Iran these days. So maybe that's where we're at, and maybe we just have to just as a culture start convincing gun people that you need to be as belligerent as other groups.
Well, and you're touching on something that is the left has been extremely intelligent about. And that's the culture war. Folks, we're losing it. And it's not because I think that the majority of Americans think the way that the left does. It's not that I believe that the majority of Americans believe the stuff the left does. But the majority of Americans are swayed by the fact that the left controls the media. The left, therefore, controls the narrative. They tell us what's culturally appropriate. They tell us what we should do as a society. They tell us what's acceptable. They tell us what isn't acceptable via movies, via television, via music, via everything that they've inserted their slimy tentacles into that has turned this. I mean, look, every TV cop you find hates guns. Most of the cops I talk to doesn't. Most of the cops I talk to actually are the other way about the Second Amendment. And speaking of which, talking to cops, you should be out talking to your locals. You should be out talking to your local deputies. You should be out talking to your local sheriff. You should be out talking to your local police officers in your town, in your city, in the district, wherever. You need to talk to these people because, as someone else pointed out, these are the ones that will be tasked with coming. And you want them to see you as a human being. And B, you want them to know that you are a reasonable person. And C, you want to find out where they stand. Because by showing them that you're a human being and that you're a reasonable human being and talking to them like regular people, because that's what they are too, you get to find out and maybe convince the people who might be tasked with carrying out these atrocious orders and unconstitutional orders that maybe they are atrocious and unconstitutional and therefore to be ignored.
Plus,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
They can use the support too. If you know a sheriff or a deputy or whatever ranking police end up being, and they say that they're not going to comply to an unconstitutional law, or they're not going to, confiscate people's guns without due process, whatever it is, they take a stand against a sanctuary city or something like that. Let them know that you support them, because if not, they're out there on an island all by themselves. We've got a few sheriffs here in Maryland that are standing as firm as they can. They're getting pounded on from every which side, but the more and more people step up and say, hey, I don't live in your county, but I support what you're doing, it emboldens them to hold on and fight longer.
Yep.
It sucks that we even have to talk about this stuff or talk like this, and it's not what any of us want. We don't want to have to discuss. I mean, I'd much rather be arguing with you guys over what's better, 9mm or 45, and there are times for shows like that. I think sometimes people try to talk about that stuff instead of this stuff when we need to be talking about this stuff, because they're just trying to give everybody a break. And then there's other times where, unfortunately, even though we'd rather be talking about something else, we have to address this. And right now is a time where they're trying to legislate. Maybe in between, we can let it cool off a little bit. Give yourself a little bit of a break, a rest. But then when it's time to get active again. Don't ever get yourself into a position where you've taken a break from it and you get comfortable, and then you don't get back into the fight, because we all get burned out and everything, and they know it too. They want to wear us down. They want to divide us, and they want to wear us down. And the division, it's going to happen no matter what. All these people are saying, we got to be united, we got to be, you know what, that'd be great, but the reality is there's division in our community only because we all believe so strongly in what we believe in. That strong belief is your core that's going to push you through when you are worn down, or when you are saying, what else can I do? Or when you're saying, my vote just doesn't count. No, get your butt out there and do stuff. And I'm not one of these people that says, well, you only do one thing and I do 10. I'm better than you. No, I don't care if you do one thing or you do 100 things. You do what you're
at least you're out there doing one thing.
Yeah, because you know what? You're doing a lot more than most. And maybe, after a while you say, you know what? I can do more. I can do more. I can, and it's not always about money either. Sometimes it's simply about time.
Yep.
So doing anything from having a conversation with somebody, and being prepared to be butthurt when it's over, all the way to, donating money or volunteering your time, or, everybody's always talking about taking a new person to range. Easier said than done, but I've been there, done that a few times, and I've had mixed results. Just don't let it discourage you, but you are going to get discouraged. That's where you got us. We're here to kind of bounce stuff off of each other and go, all right, I'm good now. All right, let's get back in there and let's do it. So you figure out what way works best for you, for your life, for your budget, for your schedule, for your beliefs, and you do what you can. And don't let somebody sit there and tell you, well, I do more than you, so therefore I know more than you, or I'm better than you. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I give people crap because they've got less experience than me. I just don't want somebody with less experience than me telling me what to do. But, just you're doing your part. You're doing your part. And sometimes we can agree on stuff and unify. And let's take advantage of those situations.
I think the important thing is, even if you're only doing one thing, get out there and do that one thing. Don't sit around. I made this, those of you that watched the video for the speech I gave last week, towards the end, I talked about how the people that were standing there got something powerful. They understood that sitting around at home waiting for someone else to do it isn't going to cut it anymore. Sitting around waiting for someone else to make phone calls isn't going to cut it. Sitting around waiting for someone else to sign petitions, send emails, go to rallies, do anything that needs done to fight this fight isn't going to do it. They understood that they are the someone else that needs to get out there and fight, because no one else is going to do it for you. Get up, get off the couch, pick up the phone, sit and start typing. Do something to fight this fight. Because if you don't, before long, you're going to be getting that knock on the door at 4 a.m. saying, give us your shit. That's how it's going to go.
I want to put this out there for the younger generations, the people that are younger than us. There's only 3% of the population that fought back against the crown. 3%. Everybody else complied.
Yep.
So you have to get in where you fit in. So I would hope there'd be more than 3% in these days and ages that we live in now that would take a stand. And if you're one of those people that cherish a petrodollar, then I think you should rethink what you're doing and you should go turn in your guns now. Only 3% of the population back then, when the Constitution was written, those people were on the battlefield. George Washington was on the battlefield. Those people that did things were on a battlefield. Some people haven't never been on a battlefield. This gentleman, I've seen it firsthand as well. It's not fun, and it's definitely not something that you ever want to experience. But in the end, you have to get in where you fit in. If you're going to comply, you might as well comply now, because in the end, somebody's going to pass a law that's going to outlaw certain things, and it's up to you whether you want to stand up for that right now, at this time, this moment, and stop it before it happens, or you can sit back in your lazy boy, prop that up. When they come knocking on your door, you open the door, tell them where it is, and go sit back in your lazy boy. You either get in or where you fit in, or you step aside and let other people do this. But I'm telling you, as the time goes on, and if something or nothing ever happens, don't you ever show your face around me again. If you're one of those people that sit in that lazy boy and comply. Because I'm not here to battle for someone else's rights. I'm here to battle for my rights. I'm here to battle for my kids' rights when I pass this earth. And this might sound radical, but that's how I feel, and that's my feelings on it. When you've been to another country, another place where they do not have this stuff that we have, maybe you will change your mind. Those people that protest have probably never been out of the country, and they've probably never stepped foot on foreign soil. So if you think this is a joke, maybe you should stop what you're doing, go get a plane ticket, and go to a communist country. Go to a country that doesn't have the rights that we have. And when you come back, I think you might feel different.
And there's inspiration involved in all this as well. Like Mike, Budget was talking about his speech. Who knows? Maybe somebody on the internet a year from now, or maybe somebody in that crowd at that point in time had the inspiration to say, you know what? I'm a fat loudmouth, but I don't have a mic and a camera. I'm going to go get me a mic and a camera because that guy does it. Why can't I? You know,
right.
or any one of us that do anything, whether it be making videos, whether it be making speeches, talking to people, just being nice, opening doors, whatever it is, being that moral, decent human being, somebody might see that and say, you know what? I'm not out here by myself. I'm not alone. And that could inspire. So just like Roll Call said, if you're sitting on that lazy boy, what if you're the one that happens to be in the place and says the thing that inspires somebody else? You know, so you can't rely on just let somebody else do it. Let somebody else do it.
You are somebody else. Get up and do it.
And you said that, Budget, you said that at the beginning of your speech on Saturday, and I'm glad that you brought that up. I'd like to extrapolate a little bit on what Roll Call said, and that is, I'm not going to use the tagline that the NRA and the GOA use constantly as a scare tactic to get people to donate money or to get people to join or renew their membership or to get active, and that is, this is the greatest fight of our life. You know, this election year, this time, every time is the greatest fight of our life. You hear that long enough, and you're going to go, hey, wait, I thought last year was the worst, or I thought the year before. I'm going to say this. You're either in it for life or you're not. If you think you can do this for a few years, send some money somewhere, write a letter, send an email, go to a rally, buy something, take somebody to the range, the list goes on, all the different things. And then one day we're going to have this massive win, and we're going to say the Second Amendment is the law of the land, it's absolute, nobody can touch it, and all gun control just goes away. And it doesn't work like that. You're in this forever or you're not in it.
It's like mowing your lawn.
It costs money, it takes time, and it wears you down. If you're the kind of person that really believes in freedom and you want to pass this freedom on to the next generation, you've got to be in it for life.
It's like mowing your lawn. You don't just do it once and it's over with. You have to keep maintenance on it. And this is the same thing. The price of liberty is eternal vigilance. And you have to be eternally vigilant. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the last part because I don't want to quark Clover. So we will move on to Roll Call 219's favorite part, the self-defense shout-outs. Self-defense shout-outs are not where I am reveling in the proposition that the bad guy was injured or killed. It is, in fact, where I'm reveling in the proposition that the good guy had the means, method, and opportunity to defend themselves against the bad guy. First up, by Brian Burns in the Kansas City Star from 9/5/19, Independence homeowner shoots intruder. An Independence homeowner shot and injured an intruder who broke into a home early Wednesday. At about 4 a.m., a man forced his way through the front door of a home on the 1300 block of South McHenry Street in Eastern Independence. At some point, there was a confrontation between him and the homeowner, said Independence Police spokesman Tom Gentry. The homeowner had a weapon and shot the intruder. The intruder fled and collapsed nearby, Gentry said, before a neighbor took him to a hospital. By the time police were notified, the suspect already was at the hospital. Police deployed officers to both the hospital and the home. Police have not released the intruder's name, and his condition is unknown, Gentry said. Multiple shots were fired, but it's unclear whether the intruder had a gun, Gentry said. The homeowner, who appeared to be alone in the house, was not injured. Next up, by Carrie Thornton from the... I'm sure that you Oklahomans will tell me all about how I mispronounced this one. Tahlequah, from the Tahlequah Daily Press, from September 11, 2019. Local woman shoots, kills intruder. An area man was shot to death Tuesday night by a woman who says she was defending herself. Cherokee County Sheriff's deputies responded to a shooting report on West Clyde Mara Road Tuesday night. A woman called 911 and told dispatchers that she'd shot a burglar. When deputies arrived, they found a man lying dead in the driveway. Under Sheriff Jason Cheneau, it confirmed that Josh Montgomery died from 2 gunshot wounds. Ginger Snow told deputies a man had started banging on the doors and windows of her residence. She said she didn't know who the man was, and she told him to leave. She said he backed off into a yard, but then returned to her house, this time even more aggressive. Snow said she armed herself with a gun and opened the door. She said when the man threatened to kill her, she fired shots into the air to scare him. And she must have been listening to Joey Biden. She said the man started to come at her, and she fired at least 2 shots, killing him. Cheneau said the evidence and witness statements line up with what Snow said. She was licensed to carry a weapon, and she was not arrested on the advice of Cherokee County District Attorney Jack Thorpe. And last, but most certainly not least, from September 9, 2009, by the web staff at myfox8.com, Charlotte 7-Eleven manager shoots attempted robber after suffering gunshot wound. Charlotte, North Carolina. A Charlotte store manager fired back after a would-be robber shot them, according to WCNC. Just after 3 a.m. Monday morning, police responded to an attempted robbery at a 7-Eleven on the corner of Monroe Road and Sharon Amity Road. Police say a person with a gun went to the 7-Eleven and shot the store manager. That's when the manager shot back, injuring the would-be robber. The shooter ran from the scene, but officers tracked a suspect to 5340 Monroe Road, WCNC reports. The store manager suffered serious injury. Tahlequah. There we go, Giz. Thanks. Try Tahlequah. Okay. There we go. That first one was from Tahlequah. So, there. At any rate, there we have 3 instances of, despite what NPR would have you believe, the good guy with the gun stopping the bad guy with a gun. So let's go ahead and roll up the sidewalks and put away the awnings. I want to thank everybody on the panel for stopping by, and let's go ahead and give them an opportunity to give their final thoughts and or plugs. Kingpin, anything you'd like to leave us with, sir?
Yeah, thanks for having me. And everybody, remember to go check out A Bloke's 2 Cents giveaway video. Really, really good cause there. Let's get some money and help his friend's daughter out.
Alrighty. There you go. Go check that out, folks. Adam, the Modern Anti-Federalist, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. As always, thanks for having me. I know I've been not really around much, but it was really good to come out today. This was a pretty important one. And screw that Beto guy. Otherwise, guys, check me out at the Modern Anti-Federalist. Content coming right now-ish. So, yeah, thanks for having me. Bye.
Roll call 219. What do you got for us, sir?
Thanks for having me. You can catch me on Instagram. You can catch me on YouTube as well. I'm hemorrhaging subscribers right now, but I want to tell you, I'm not in this game for subscribers. If you don't like my channel, get the F out. I'll show you the door. You can go help me out on Patreon. I just started my Patreon.
Love him.
Huh?
Said I love this guy.
You know, I'm telling you right now, I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it to help the cause, and the cause is to keep the Second Amendment alive and breathing. You can go catch me on Patreon if you want to donate to the channel to get things up and going. You can also reach me at PayPal somewhere. Just go on my channel. All that stuff should be up on there. I'm active in the community here at home and also abroad. I just came back from Michigan where Budget was to go watch him speak. I want to tell the people of Ohio that I'm with you. Yeah, up in Ohio. I want to tell the
Dude,
people there
you were in
that
the capital of Ohio and you said it was Michigan. You know that's a hanging offense around
You know,
here?
people from Indiana don't know the difference between Michigan and Ohio. It's just like people who've never lived in North or South Carolina don't know the difference. There's a difference, people.
Right. But you can go catch me on there. I'll have a couple videos coming out here in the next few weeks. I do have work coming up. But other than that, thanks for having me, Budget. Go check out my channel. Go check out me on all the social media stuff. You can usually find me at Roll Call 219. And thanks for having me, and keep up the good fight, man.
All right, thanks. You're welcome anytime, even if you don't know the difference between Michigan and Ohio. And speaking of Michigan, we have the one, the only, the irascible yet lovable Squibload. Anything you'd like to leave us with, sir?
Thanks for the invite. Another good show as usual. Let's see, can I think of any words of wisdom? I've seen Roll Call's business card, and it says Roll Call 219, and underneath it says door salesman. But I guess everybody check out Gizzard Gary. He'll be doing Foul Territory at 9 p.m. Eastern, I think. It's 9 or 10 p.m. Eastern. You think I'd remember as many times as I've been on the show. I believe it's 9 Eastern, the only time zone that matters.
That's right.
And everybody have a good, safe weekend.
All right. Go and check that out. Also, check out Clover's Chat, the Firearm Friday. That's coming up next here at 8 o'clock. As far as me, well, y'all already know how to find me, right? I was going to go to the other rally here in Columbus on tomorrow, but I decided that I'm going to go ahead and check out the YouTube Creator Summit at Thunder Valley Precision. I see Tyven out there in the chat here on YouTube, so I'll be hanging out with you tomorrow, brother. So I'll see you guys then. If you are in the Columbus area, though, and you want to go check out the rally and stand up on your hind legs and, shout out some freedom, go check that out, too. Ohio Gun Owners and Ohioans for Concealed Carry are rallying on the State House steps, the same place that we were last week. Go support that if you can. As always, I'm going to leave us with this. In these dark and dangerous times, make sure that you let your Congress critters and elected representatives know what you think. Send them snail mail, email, telephone, telegraph, smoke signals, carrier pigeons, runners, anything that you have to do to let them know what you think, and never, ever, ever give up the fight.